Hello, my name is Jackson McMurray.
I'm leaving. I'm fleeing the country.
My name is Jackson McMurray, and this is No Nerds Allowed.
And I'm leaving the country.
Adeline, say your name. The audience needs to know who you are.
You didn't say your name.
Yes, I did. I said my name is Jackson McMurray.
I'm gonna shoot you. I'm in a different state than you, but I'm gonna end you.
We're in the same state.
Are we in different states?
No, we're in the same state. I'm in Ellensburg,
What's your address?
Washington.
What's your address?
My address is, please say your name so we can start the podcast.
Can you stop whispering into the microphone, my good dude?
My name's Jackson McMurray, and this is No Nerds Allowed.
And I'm Adeline McMurray, and I'm the one who's strangling the other man that you hear.
Okay, how about now? Is this good?
No. What? None of this has been good.
I'm done. I'll call it there. I really like that as an intro, though.
Okay, cool, great. So how are you doing, Jackson?
Guess who's got 2 thumbs and 2 index fingers and just got a job at Domino's?
Woo! Danny DeVito.
No, it was me. It wasn't Danny DeVito. It was me.
Yeah. Are you? Oh.
Does Danny DeVito work at Domino's?
He's retired, right? No, because he's gonna be Detective Pikachu.
Well, he's also still... why do you think he's retired? He's still a very much a working actor.
I don't know. He's getting up there. He's getting old.
That's true. He is pretty old. Remember on that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where he came out of a couch totally nude?
I literally knew that you were going to bring that up because I think it's the most scarred about anything you've ever been. Yeah. You're going to talk about that in therapy one day because you hate that scene so much.
That Always Sunny in Philadelphia Christmas special.
Anyway, what's it like to work at Domino's?
I don't know yet. I haven't started. I can only assume it's wonderful, though. Because, well, okay, first of all, for real, though, this is a small college town, and I'm sure I'm going to be delivering about 1 million pizzas an hour, which means I expect to be making cash money. And I'll make sure that I remember you all when I'm rich.
It'll be very cash money of you.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to stay humble.
The boss of this company didn't kill lions.
That's true. I worked at Jimmy John's for a very long time, and I sort of just had to come to terms with the fact that I was working for Craven the Hunter. But, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Didn't kill Cecil the lion, as our grandpa likes to say.
Yeah. That's my favorite, is when people get, 2 news stories, conflated.
Yeah.
I brought that up, but I can't think of any other examples, though. So just
one.
Move on. Save me.
Okay, cool. I don't have any stories from my life. My life is really boring. I've been playing The Sims a lot.
How's that going?
So there's that. It's been going pretty good. No, me and my friends figured out that on Discord through the screen share, we can quote-unquote play The Sims together. So we've been doing that, and it's been really fun.
I went to an open mic night a little while ago.
Did you crush it?
Yeah, I did. But one of the girls did stand up, and she did a bit about playing The Sims.
Yeah.
I wish I could plug her, but I do not remember her name. It was pretty funny, though.
Because it's funny and relatable.
Yeah. She was like, oh, man, people are always like, what if we live in a simulation and we're really being controlled by aliens or higher life forms? But it's like, if that were true, why would I be pretending to do that on my computer? And I was like, haha, that's very good and very funny. Thank you. And I clapped my hands. Yeah.
That's my life. That's what I've been doing.
So what movie did we watch this week?
We watched Beauty and the Beast, 2017 edition, the live-action one, with Hermione Granger and the twink that my friends like, and whose name I can't remember.
Are you talking about Ewan McGregor?
No. No, the guy who plays Beast.
Oh, Dan Stevens.
Yeah, Dan Stevens. I'm so mad that he isn't hot. Don't get me started.
What? You don't think Dan Stevens is hot?
Okay, he's hot, but he's not hot in the same way that the Beast is hot. It's 2 different types of hotness.
You just want him to be buffer.
Yeah, I just want him to be buff and hairy, but he's a twink and he's not as handsome.
He is a little twinky.
He's a little tiny boy who dances around and wears makeup and makes weird growling sound effects, and I don't like him as much as I like Beast. Who takes out like 10 wolves like it's nothing.
Yeah, he's good in Legion.
I didn't see that movie.
It's a TV show.
I saw this one and was disappointed.
It's an X-Men TV show, and he's Legion, and he is in a mental hospital, and he's also in Colossal, which nobody wants to watch with me.
We could do Colossal.
Maybe we should. I really like Colossal. Maybe that'll be our next one.
You really like Colossal.
We could just have a Dan Stevens marathon. What else is Dan Stevens in lately?
I don't know. I have Google open right now.
I'm checking.
I'm checking. I'm not checking. I'm gonna check.
The Guest.
Great.
I never heard of that movie. Oh, the man who invented Christmas. He played Charles Dickens.
Oh.
Because Charles Dickens invented Christmas?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this movie?
Maybe.
Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, so you picked this movie. Explain.
Yeah.
Show your work.
Because Disney has been going through this phase where they're redoing all of their classic animated princess films, and not necessarily just their princess films, but their movies, as quote-unquote live-action movies. And I don't inherently have an issue with this. There's so many people in the world who are like, they're just remaking things. There's no such thing as an original movie these days.
Right.
Which is, A, not true, and B, sorry that you can't have fun. But
right.
So, the first one that came out was the Cinderella one, and we should probably actually do that one too, because I really like that one. It's a really pretty movie. They did some fun things with the story. They kind of reimagined it and made it a little bit more modern. It was just a fun movie. There wasn't as much rat discourse as there was in the original Cinderella.
What? I don't think I've seen the original Cinderella. What the fuck are you talking about?
75% of the original animated Cinderella is just Jacques and whatever the other mouse's name is running around and not getting killed by the cat. It's literally just Looney Tunes, and then at some point Cinderella gets married or whatever, but that's just like the whole movie.
Okay. How much rat discourse is there in the live action one?
Enough that I don't remember it. So,
okay, fair enough.
Hopefully not a lot. But, so then the next one that came out was Beauty and the Beast. And did we both see this in theaters?
Yeah, I saw it, not to brag or anything. I got to see it almost a week early, so.
That's right, because you worked at the movie theater.
I worked at the movie theater. I got to see it with 3 other girls on, like, the Thursday before it came out.
Who were much more excited than you.
Yeah, precisely. They were all like, oh, it was so good. Did you love it? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this movie is super interesting because it does do some things really well. And it does some other things not well. Mm-hmm. And then when you really get down to it, it doesn't matter. This movie could not be good enough to not be unnecessary.
All right, fair enough.
This could be the best goddamn movie on the planet, and when it would still be unnecessary.
Yeah,
Because you could argue that the Cinderella one was necessary, because they do a lot more stuff with the characters that propel the story a lot more than the original animated one did.
No, Adeline, this one's feminist.
Well, this one didn't do anything with I don't care about everybody's dead parents. I don't care. Stop telling me about everyone's dead parents. They're not in the movie.
This is the feminist Beauty and the Beast adaptation. She doesn't wear a corset. How don't you know about all this?
Yeah, her dress is super ugly. It looks bad. No, but yeah, so it's just really interesting what they do with this movie and what they don't do with this movie, and I think, not to shit all over remakes or to shit all over Disney, because I think that they are doing cool things with the remakes, but I don't know, I thought this one was just interesting, of like why they chose to remake it when they don't, they do weird things.
Yeah, we should do Jungle Book.
We should.
Because Jungle Book rules,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Mowgli.
No, not Mowgli. You haven't even seen Mowgli.
I'm sorry, Andy Serkis. But starting with the Beauty and the Beast, the first thing that I have written down is that whole flashback opening is so heavy-handed.
Yeah, okay, straight
it rubs
up, though,
me the wrong way.
I don't know. I really like the opening sequence. I mean...
Oh, do you?
It sort of doesn't quite jive with the rest of the movie, which I accept. But it's very pretty, and when I hadn't seen the rest of the movie yet, I saw that for the first time. I was like, oh shit, maybe this is going to be a rad movie.
Oh yeah, no, that it's very pretty. That song sucks.
Oh, I don't even remember the song.
She's like, oh, how divine. There's a bunch of ladies dancing. This prince likes women. It's France, whatever. It sucks. It's a bad song.
Yeah, speaking of France, let's do a tally of all the characters in this movie that have French accents. Lumiere.
And there we go. End of list.
And they mention specifically that it's set in France a whole bunch of times.
Oh no, they don't let you forget that we're in France.
So yeah, I don't know. The thing about this movie, what I think is like its biggest saving grace, is that it's got like a really distinct aesthetic. Like
it does.
It's got a really set color palette, and everything like visually is really thematically similar, which I really appreciate.
This movie is really, really pretty. Well, I talk about that a little bit when we get further to the movie, but the first thing that another thing that I have written down is that this is a little bit CinemaSins-y, but they have that opening scene where there's all these beautiful women all dancing, whatever. But it's like, what happens to these characters? Because there's definitely this connection between the castle and the town where they know each other, but they've forgotten each other because of the magic spell. But we never see any of these women ever again. They're not in the town. They're not servants. We don't see them at the end of the movie when everybody's human again. It's just like, go away, women. You were beautiful. Now go away.
But that's
this
the
is
thing.
The feminist one.
Right, and that's the thing about this movie. Okay, did you watch the Lindsay Ellis video I sent you?
I did not. I was worried that I would repeat her opinions.
Okay, so this is the second time I've plugged a Lindsay Ellis video on this podcast. I really, really like Lindsay Ellis's videos. I think she does a really good job of like dissecting movies and things like that. But anyway, one of the things that she talks about is how obsessed this movie is with like refuting the like plot hole clickbait criticism of the original movie. It's like people were like, oh, we don't know anything about these people. Does every dish have a person associated with it? And they like go all the way out of their way to give you like a whole backstory about anything and everything they possibly can. And where's Belle's mom? We don't know. So they give her a mom. So people stop saying that.
Yeah.
And like it's all this kind of stuff. But even though they're doing that, like so specifically with these sorts of criticisms in mind, they like introduce so many more in the process.
I know.
There's so many things that don't quite add up in this movie.
They do that thing where they're showing Belle into her nice pretty room, and she's like, is everything here alive? And she picks up a brush and goes, hello, what's your name? And they're like, oh, this girl's idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so wait, hold on. If not everything is the castle alive, you freaking candlestick, then why are all these plates flying around? Explain everything else that's happening right now, Lumiere, you piece of shit.
I really like you throwing candlestick around as if it's a slur.
But it's just like, not everything's alive, and then we get to be our guest, and everything is alive,
exactly,
and it's like, okay. I'm acting like I don't like this movie. I really enjoy watching this movie. I've watched it more than once because I'll just be like, I'm bored. I'll watch Beauty and the Beast because it's just like a pretty nice movie. Like I could just kind of like sit down and take it in and be like, whatever.
Right.
But that's the kind of thing that I love to look at with like a more of scrutinizing eye because like I just like enjoy things. And I enjoy things that are bad and I enjoy things that are good. So like I super enjoy this movie, but I'm also completely willing to tear it apart.
Right. Well, and you know, I saw this movie once that very first time, and then I saw it a second time with family, I think. And the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, I'm down with this movie. And the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, I didn't really get anything new out of it on a second watch. And I was very much prepared to never watch it ever again.
And here we are.
But here we are, yeah.
I mean, the set design in this movie is so pretty. Like, of all these remakes, they're just pretty. They're nice to look at. The costumes in this movie are really, really pretty. Except for Belle's dress. Like, all of the townsfolk have these, like, really, like, bright colors with all that really, like, specific, like, patchworky kind of aesthetic.
Right.
Like, everything's just pretty and nice to look at.
Okay, I hate the townsfolk song. I hate it.
I really like that song.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, it's not the best song on the planet. I don't know. There's something charming about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the song is literally She's Not Like Other Girls, the song. Well, and I get that, and I understand it.
It's not the music that bothers me. I don't have a problem with the music itself. It's just like the whole point of this song is just like, I mean, the characters aren't saying this, but like the intent of the song is like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all townsfolk. We're so dumb. Belle is so much better than us.
Look at the main character.
Like, she's so special and wonderful, and she's better than everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, this is like a weird little point that I just was thinking about the whole movie. They made that press release that was like, Belle's not going to wear a corset in this one. Because it's like...
She doesn't in the original,
part
FYI.
of our... Yeah, that also. But it's like part of our whole like feminist branding we're putting on this thing. Weirdly. Like, to me, initially, it's like, that doesn't mean anything. But I can kind of understand, like, oh, we're not going to hold her up to the same messed up beauty standards that existed just for the sake of, like, whatever weird historical accuracy, you know? Like, I get that. That's fine. Here's the thing, though, is that all the other women in the story are still wearing corsets. Yeah, it's just not Belle. And it's totally, once again, everyone else is so dumb, and Belle is so smart and woke and better than everybody else on the planet.
She has an Instagram. Go follow her.
It's just
she does call-out posts.
Yeah, it's like, it feels so almost like condescending. Like, everybody else doesn't know what's best for them, but I'm Belle and I don't wear a corset and I know what's best for everybody, you know?
I mean, I think it's okay because the movie is trying to tell you this, but Belle is never like, I'm better than all of you. Like, she talks about, like, being bored and not being happy where she is, but she's not like, I hate you, Ted.
Yeah,
right,
that's
you
fair.
there, you. You're an idiot. Like, she never does that. She does that a little bit with Gaston, but he deserves it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Belle is likable and not stuck up, so even though the movie is kind of stuck up, it still works.
That's fair enough.
And the problem that I have with the song is that Emma Watson is not the strongest singer of all time. And I think that's totally fine. But the way that she's singing it, I can tell that they tried to give her, like, singing coaching and practice. So she's trying to sing in this really professional, like, trained way, but she can't because her voice is that good. I feel like it would have been so much more charming if they had kind of just, like, let her sing, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know, Belle doesn't need to be this amazing singer. She can just be this girl who's singing, and I think that would have been way cooler. And it's, like, not to say that she's doing a bad job of singing, like, at all, but I can just, like, tell in the way that she uses her voice, like, she's been trained to sing in this really specific way, and like I wish they would have just, like, let her sing.
Yeah, like she's trying to do something that she's not necessarily comfortable with.
Yeah.
While there would be other things she would be more comfortable with that would turn out better.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I really like the character of the dad in this movie, though. I really appreciate the way that they wrote him.
I've got a couple things before we get to the dad.
Okay, go for it.
So first, after that, there's that shot during that song where she sings about the book. It's where they goes into the slow melodic part. It's like, isn't this amazing? That whole part.
Sure.
Where the camera starts to circle around her and you see all the flowers in the background.
Oh, yeah. The bad Sound of Music shot.
No, I love that shot. I thought that was so cool. Where you see all the flowers around her. I thought that was really pretty. Second, there's that scene where LeFou and Gaston are across the world and they see Belle and it's fine or whatever because they have a telescope. But there's a shot where Gaston, like, literally looks into camera and goes, that means she's the best. It's like, okay, movie.
I didn't even think about that way.
Yeah. And to be fair, I do enjoy LeFou and Gaston in this movie. I think not necessarily as characters, but I do think they're funny.
That's
like,
true.
I don't know, they have lots of lines that make me laugh, and I think they do a good job of that. The whole point of Belle, the song, is to establish that this town sucks and it's boring and Belle isn't happy here.
Right.
But they have that whole crescendo at the end of the song where you see the huge market and all these people and all these cool things are happening and Belle's like, this place sucks. It's like, don't show me how cool this place is.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It was weird how they used it. They were like, look how cool, magnificent, and all these colors and all these people and all these things. And look how cool this is. But then the moral of the song is that she's not happy, and it's, like, weird. And I get there could be some meaning to that. It's like she doesn't see the good in this, but then they, like, never come back and redeem it. So it's just, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird moral. There's another shot. I'm just going to go off because then we can talk about the dad. But there's this another shot at the end of the song where everyone in the town square stops except for Belle, who keeps walking. And in theory, that's a really, really cool shot, but it just doesn't work, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, why didn't it look good? First of all, because the stop wasn't in time with the music. They just, like, stopped randomly. It wasn't even, like, on beat. And second of all, the camera's really far away. So everybody stops, and Belle keeps walking. But, like, it doesn't create the focus that you want it to. It just looks like an accident. I don't know. It's a really weird shot. And, like, it was a really cool idea, and I just, like, couldn't understand why it didn't pay off the way that they wanted it to. And I thought that was interesting.
Right. And, okay, so the dad, I like.
Yes.
Because
really
I think
like him.
A lot of this movie is what I sometimes call, like, pseudo-feminism, but I don't think that's true. I think it is still feminism. It's just not helpful feminism.
The strongest.
Yeah. But I think the dad is a really good example of something that we should be doing more of, which is just to have male characters who are, like, authority figures who are just chill.
Who are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just, like, proud of his daughter and encourages her to do the things that she loves, and, you know, doesn't take any issue with her teaching little girls how to read or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, doesn't dump her laundry in the road for no reason. I do kind of... Oh, no, you can go.
That scene with the laundry machine is... So, like, there's the two halves of it. The first one is, like, she's teaching a little girl how to read, and the other one is she's invented this laundry machine. Her teaching the little girl how to read is not my favorite thing in the movie, but it kind of works because, like, it establishes that she really loves books, and her and the Beast bond over books later. So it's, like, sort of this thematic setup. That's fine. The laundry machine doesn't have jack shit to do with anything else in the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah, well, no, it's because for some reason they wouldn't... In the original anime movie, her dad is this crazy inventor who just, like, invents this garbage that never works, and everyone thinks he's crazy. But so in this one, he just, like, makes these artsy music boxes. I wish they would have just let him be a weird inventor. Like, I felt like they didn't need to change that. Like, we would like him no matter what. And so then I feel like they still wanted that kind of inventy kind of aspects, or like, oh, we'll just have Belle do something, but then she never does anything after that. If she continued to do that kind of stuff, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, but they don't, and she doesn't.
By the way, I think it's really funny. There's that moment where Gaston is, like, hitting on her, and he's like, don't you want to have kids? And she's like, I don't want to have kids right now. And I immediately just thought of, like, that sounds like a clickhole article. Like, Disney announces new princess doesn't want to have kids.
Right now.
Exactly. Like, I just can't help but imagine, like, that's just so funny to me. The fact that they added this whole line in about how she doesn't want to have kids necessarily. Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think it's what I like to call, like, girl power feminism, which I think is really important for little girls. I think the first step to teaching little girls to be feminist, quote unquote, is, like, to start with girl power, with, like, girls are great, girls can be whatever they want to be, here's a team of girls, 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 girls. I think that's a great foundation, but at some point you kind of have to move away from that and be like, okay, here's how you take this empowerment that you have and, like, place it in reality. Here's how you interact in a positive way with men, how men positively interact with you. Like, you have to take that empowerment and do something with it. It can't just be girl power.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah, so I feel like this kind of light feminism, this kind of basic feminism is fine because it's Beauty and the Beast. So her being like, Gaston, I don't want kids right now. I think that's totally fine because A, we're in 1700s France, so that's bizarre. And B, because the little girls watching this are like, oh, I don't have to have kids right now. I'm 6 or whatever. But yeah.
It's okay to not want to have kids right now.
Right this moment right now. Another thing that this movie does, I think is really weird, is that they weirdly set the movie in reality. Like, with the little girl not knowing how to read and the kind of putting it into politics of the French 1700s or whatever time period is.
And, well, that's the thing,
and, like,
though.
the plague subplot later. Like, I don't know, setting it weirdly in reality was just strange. I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
Lindsay Ellis makes a really good point in her video, about this specifically, which is that at the time period in France that they're setting this movie, little girls were definitely knowing how to read. And also, the original Beauty and the Beast story was published in a magazine aimed at little girls in this time period in France.
That's unfortunate. Anyway, basic fact checking.
And this is a little bit later. I still think it's dumb that the dad is like, oh, I forgot to get her a rose that she asked for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, no, but that whole line where it's like, what do you want? Every year you bring me a rose, I want a rose. I had a Beauty and the Beast computer game that I remember so vividly that I would play all the time. There's all these mini games. But for some reason, there was a line of dialogue in that game that was that line of dialogue. And, like, that one line, like, shoots me back to, like, 2006. It's so weird. I get this weird, like, texture memory and,
right.
like, scent memory. It's so weird.
Is it...
And I want to find that video game again.
Is that line in the original movie, too?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that every time he goes, he brings her a rose.
Why does she want a rose?
Because, I don't know. Well, in the movies, because there's a painting of her super dead mom, and she has a rose in the painting.
Okay,
but
why aren't there roses in her town?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But, I have something before that. The mom subplot isn't needed because, A, they don't use it for anything.
Nope.
And B, it doesn't even affect Belle's character. It's not even like, I want to be like my mom who was cool. It's just like, hey, Belle, you had a cool mom. Great.
It's just, yeah, it has
Moving
absolutely
on.
nothing to do with anything. And I hate to be the person who says, they just added it to pad out the runtime or whatever. But it's really and truly doesn't connect to anything in any way, shape, or form. And the only thing I can imagine is because they heard so many people being like, where are all the moms in Disney movies? They're like, we have to put the mom in this one.
We
so
need a
people
mom.
stop saying that.
Stat.
Yeah. Give me 50 cc's of mom.
Yeah, I need it now for my story. For my fan fiction of Beauty and the Beast. The real The Hills Are Alive shot is when she goes outside of town and does I Want Adventure in the Great White Somewhere. That's the Hills Are Alive.
Right. That's the shot I was talking about earlier. Sorry, I got that a little messed up.
Yeah, no.
But it's just like The Sound of Music, but with a slightly worse green screen.
Yeah, no, literally. Okay, so when the dad leaves and he's like, okay, I'll get your rose, and he's walking down the street. I mean, I love the dad. I love his dialogue with Philippe. I think that's great. I love it. But the freaking wolves and the stock wolf sound effects that they keep blasting, where it's like these terrible, like, growling monster sounds, and they just don't stop, like, the whole time. And then there's the wolf with the bad guy scar, and it's like, I get this is a fairy tale meant for children, but come on.
Like, why do we need to characterize these wolves so vividly?
Yeah, if you just told me that there were wolves, I'd be like, cool, danger. He doesn't need to be Scar from The Lion King for me to know that this is bad news.
So there's a line in this. This is way later in the movie. I think I didn't take any notes for a little while.
Okay.
But there's
I got
this
more,
moment.
don't worry.
Okay. You can fill in after I say this.
Gotcha.
To me, like, the two parts of this movie that crack me up are, like, the anti-CinemaSins parts of the movie and the pseudo-feminist parts of this movie. And the Venn diagram, like, eclipses perfectly in that one moment where the wardrobe is like, I'm gonna dress you fit to be a princess, and she's like, but I'm not a princess.
Yeah.
And it's like simultaneously like feminist empowerment and also people always say she's a princess, but technically she's not. Like, yeah. It's just like the perfect just, encapsulation of everything about this movie. Looking down the barrel of
two different cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
What do I have before that? Okay. First of all, when Philippe comes back to her and she's like, Philippe, where's Papa? Take me to him.
Yeah, I know, it's so good.
Which is also in the original movie, but Philippe was like a talking animal in the original, so it's fine.
He was?
No, he didn't talk, but he's like the horse in Tangled, where he's got like a personality and is a character.
Gotcha.
And it's not just a horse like he is in this
not
movie.
Like an actual real horse that they had to interact with.
Yeah, just a real ass horse. And then also she's wearing the same dress for like 3 days, or I guess.
Right.
The amount of time it takes for them. They're really sketchy about how long it takes to get to that break in the woods, because we're told it's a day's journey to wherever the dad is going. I'm gonna turn to CinemaSins for a second.
Okay, go for it.
They tell us it's a day's journey to where he's going. But then when he goes with Gaston, he's like, we've been searching for days. And then when they come back to the village after being tied up by Gaston was like, we were looking for you for 5 days. And it's like, how long have you been away? What is the time period? What is happening?
Yeah, this is the one movie that I'm perfectly comfortable being CinemaSins about. Because it's so much made with that in mind, and I just it gives me such a weird satisfaction to be like, you still don't got it. Like,
yeah, you still miss some bits. Freaking, I hate this thing where I really like Belle's original blue dress that she likes. I like the patchworky aesthetic of it.
Right.
But she does this thing where she tucks the end of the skirt into her belt on one side, and it's the weirdest thing on the planet.
I didn't even think about that.
Her weird dress pants and shoes, so it's another one of those. She's not like other girls,
right,
but
she
it's
wears
so
pants
weird.
under her dress with no corset.
Yeah, but it's like when this is girls only content. It's like when you go to the bathroom and you're wearing a short skirt and you accidentally tuck the back of your skirt into your underwear.
Right, yeah.
It's like that, but she did it on purpose as a fashion statement. Anyway, Oh, when she goes to save her dad from the Beast prison, and he's got that old-timey cough disease all of a sudden, but for that scene only.
Yeah. They tell you he's gonna die, and then he's fine afterwards.
Yeah, he's like, if he stays here, he'll die. And then he goes home, and he's fine. And then he's tied to a tree for 3 days, and he's fine.
It's nothing, yeah.
And it's not a plot point.
Yeah, I wasn't paying close enough attention to that part where, yeah, you're totally right. He's like,
yeah,
he'll die, and then he's fine the rest of the movie.
He'll die. And then we talked about this the first time that we saw it, but the Beast's design is so cool.
Oh, it's so rad.
It's so rad. It's so good. It's this perfect balance of Dark Souls monster and handsome furry boy. I don't know. It's just a really nice design.
No, he totally looks like a Bloodborne villain.
Yeah. I don't mean furry like furry. I meant furry like he has fur. I realized that I used a
pretend.
word. I mean, yeah.
Don't tell lies.
I mean, see, the problem with the Beast in relation to furryism is that
Furryism?
Well, it's because he is a monster who's based off an amalgamation of 6 different animals.
Right.
But he also has to be at least a little bit attractive because he's the main love interest.
Right.
So you are supposed to be attracted to the Beast, and that's fine. But it does make you a monster fucker. We just all have to get past that.
Super quick, are you gonna get super mad at me if I talk about Scary Godmother?
I'm actually going to get mad at you.
Okay, fine.
Because that joke wasn't funny when you made it, and it's not funny now.
It's very funny. We can move on, though.
Cool.
Where am I at?
I've got 3 pages of notes.
Yeah, are you up to the point where she's getting dressed yet?
No.
Okay. Keep going.
So there's a scene where she switches place with her dad, and she's in the cell, and in that cell, there's the part of the wall that just isn't, and it's just open for her to jump out of. And there are no OSHA codes in this goddamn castle. It's the same idiots who built Rivendell also built this castle. But it's beyond that. It's not even there are no guard railings. It's in some places there are just no walls. Deal with it.
Hot take about Rivendell.
Yeah, no, that's been a joke for forever. There are no things to lean on in Lord of the Rings.
You can just fall off a cliff instead.
Yeah, you just keep walking. I would never be able to navigate anywhere. I would just fall off of a bridge and die. Bye, Frodo. Okay, let's go. Oh, there's that stupid scene. This is in the original, too. This isn't every iteration. Where Cogsworth and Lumiere are like, oh, we'll lead you to your bedroom. It's in the East Wing. And there's also a West Wing. And she's like, what's in the West Wing? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Anyway, look over here. And it's just tell her it's the Beast's bedroom.
Right.
Why is this a big secret? Just hey, that's where the big scary guy lives. He'll get mad at you if you go there. Why are you being secretive about it?
Well, no, in the animated one, isn't she what's in the West Wing? And he's like, it is forbidden.
Yes, that's true.
I really like that clip.
That's a little bit different because it's the Beast telling her that.
Right.
So that's fine. But when it's Lumiere and Cogsworth, it's just just tell her it's the Beast room.
It's the Beast room.
It is.
It's not weird.
she's not gonna go in there. It's like, oh, we shouldn't tell him where he sleeps.
Yeah, that's true. They don't really have a lot of motivation to be so secretive about it.
No, but they do a little bit later. But just tell her we're not keeping secrets. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a scene where they get her to the room, and this is absolutely a Innocence thing, and I apologize now,
Okay.
but they're like, it's like this beautiful room, and Lumiere goes, it's modest but nice, like, oh, this is just a crappy little room. And then 2 seconds later, he goes, we wanted you to have the best room in the castle. And it's like, Lumiere, you just said 2 seconds ago.
He's just being modest.
Yeah, but now, not anymore.
This room sucks. You can have it if you want.
It's the best one.
And he's, like,
it's for you.
being pouty.
Take it, please.
He's fishing
Anyway.
for compliments.
I'm gonna stop yelling at Lumiere.
I really want to make a bit out of that, because that's so funny to me.
Alright,
It's
so
like, Lumiere, you fucking candlestick, get the hell out of my face with this.
get out of my movie. With the wardrobe lady, why is sleepiness only a thing for her character? Like, everybody's getting steadily more like the object that they are, and that's fine, and I get that. But for her, it's like she's steadily getting sleepy and making it harder for her to stay awake. But, like, why? Why is that only a thing for her? Like, why isn't that a problem with everybody else?
I truly don't even remember that.
Well, because she's always sleeping for no reason. That's not even a thing in the animated movie. I don't know why they did that. It's such a weird, unnecessary thing. Maybe it's so that the voice actor wasn't there all the time because they didn't want to pay her. I don't know.
Well, in the movie, isn't it like they're not gonna die? They just like they will be candlesticks or whatever forever, right?
Well, they won't be alive anymore. They don't die, but they won't be alive.
I could have sworn in the original movie it was like, you know, you'll still be alive and walking around as a candlestick or whatever. You'll just never turn back into a person.
No, it's that they will be that object.
Oh.
They will turn into an object.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still unconvinced, but we can move on.
The next thing that I have written down is ew, girl stuff. Because there's that scene where she's like, I'll make you a dress. And she wraps her in all the fabric and stuff, and that's right after the scene that you were talking about.
Right.
And she's just like sitting there, and she's like, ew, pink, tight dress, I'm wearing a wig. And she like crawls out of it, and I'm like, okay.
I'm not
This
like
is
other
for little-
girls.
I keep having to tell myself, this is for little girls. It's okay if it's super heavy-handed.
Right.
It's okay.
Okay, so now we're back to where I'm at. Give me just a second here.
Yeah.
Um,
The next thing that I have is for the Gaston song.
right. Yeah, so here's my beef with that song.
Yeah.
They can't seem to decide whether the townsfolk like Gaston or not.
Exactly. Okay. So LeFou I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I have a lot of opinions about this movie. LeFou paying the people underscores the fact that everybody likes Gaston, which is vital to the moral of the story.
Yeah.
That it's society versus these individuals. So if the bad person is not a part of the society, is an outlier that people don't like, then it's like this moral doesn't work because it's just two individuals who don't like each other.
Right.
It's supposed to be the user versus, it's supposed to be the character versus society, and that ruins that if everybody doesn't like Gaston.
Yeah, if they're having to be paid off in order to be excited about him, then it's like this whole thing doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this whole plot, like, especially because the original Beauty Beast was written by, well, the script for the original animated movie, I don't remember if it's a script. I should look this up. I don't remember if it's for the script or for the transcript, but it was written by a man who had AIDS, and for him, the beast was that metaphor for him having AIDS. Being like, society is against me, but these people aren't evil because of what's happened to them, that kind of thing. Like, character versus society.
Yeah.
So to then, like, totally demolish that
Right.
whole moral and, like, literally like one movement, one thing in one scene. It's just like, I don't know, it's so weird. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Did
they were just looking for extra gags to put into the choreography. They just didn't have enough stuff to fill a whole thing. So they're like, we need something else to like keep people moving through this scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have written down for that scene is that they're play fighting in canon and also in reality.
It's true. Okay. That all said, though.
Yeah.
The line right at the end where LeFou is like, it's just occurred to me that I'm illiterate is the funniest thing in the world.
That joke gets me every time.
I lose it at that joke every single time. Like, I don't think anything else in this movie is really that funny, but that joke slays me. It's so good.
Well, that's the payoff of them putting it kind of in reality.
Right,
like,
yeah.
that's the payoff.
So, okay, the next thing I have on my list is when the dad comes back and is trying to convince them the beast is real, which I think is a little bit later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's much later. Okay, I have a lot of stuff. I think so. Okay, so first of all, talking about the architecture of the castle when Belle gets there, it's really it happens out throughout the whole movie where there's all these shots of the castle where one half of it is this like crazy gnarled like out of the ordinary architecture,
right,
and then the other side is just like totally normal, and they do that so many times throughout the movie, and I actually thought it was super cool because if I had noticed it the first time, I think I would have thought it was heavy-handed, but it took me like 3 times to notice this. Where you have this like juxtaposition between like this weird crazy architecture and then the regular, and then you have like the East Wing and the West Wing where you have Beast and Belle, and
right,
like, there's all these metaphors, and I think it was really effective.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Move on.
I have the.
Sorry, I just really liked your polite fake laugh right there. Thank you for trying.
I have the everything is alive. No, that explain these goddamn flying cups. Lumiere. That's where I have this written down.
Yeah. Okay. So this is past. So I just wanted to say that when what's his name, the dad is like trying to convince everybody. He has this one line where he says like the beast is real that he delivers like so well. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, like.
Yeah.
This guy's super good, and he's doing a really good job in this role.
Yeah, no. He does such a good job. It's like this cool... He's like the realest, most fleshed out character in this whole movie. And he just does such a good job at it. I don't know. It's really fun to watch him do his thing.
Right. And Be Our Guest is also very fun. I'm down with Be Our Guest.
Well, so I feel like the Be Our Guest visuals are really, really good.
Yeah.
Because I actually went back and watched the animated Be Our Guest, and it was a little bit underwhelming.
Right.
And I think it's just because of how it aged. But there's still a lot of really big shots with tons of things moving. And it's still a really impressive piece of animation. But, like, I don't know. I feel like the impressiveness of that animation then is mirrored directly by the amazingness of the animation that we have, the CGI animation now. Like, I feel like it was a good, like, transition. Because, like, the visuals are so pretty and really cool and convoluted and colorful and crazy, and it's really good. Like, it's a fun scene to watch.
The only thing is that Emma Watson, Belle, doesn't do anything. She just kind of sits there and giggles the whole time.
Yeah, well, that's
and it's so
true
weird how they
both.
keep, like, cutting back to her. She's still just, like, smiling in her chair. She's like, haha.
Okay.
And, like, that's it. Yeah, she's like, okay, thanks.
This is happening. But I think it's with a song like Be Our Guest, it's just like no cover is ever going to be as good as the original.
Right. I don't know. I don't even remember how it sounds.
Ewan
to be
McGregor
honest,
can try all that he wants. It's just not going to
dumb
work.
fucking candlestick.
You dumb fucking candlestick. Go melt in the corner.
Okay. Why do we need to give the beast extra emotional baggage with all the dad
more
stuff?
Dead parents? Both of them?
Yeah.
Both of them are dead?
Like, isn't the fact that he got cursed at a young age to be a beast forever, like, enough emotional trauma for one character? Why do we gotta add weird daddy issues on top of it?
They also don't do anything with it again. Okay, so in the Cinderella, they do give the prince... they do give the prince these daddy issues where the dad in Cinderella wants the prince to marry this really specific kind of girl, and he's like, no, I fall in love with Cinderella. But they do it in this really effective way that, like, fleshes out both of the characters, and they have this really cool exchange and scenes. And I think, like, the dad dies at some point, and the prince cries, and it's, like, this really cool scene, and this character and emotional development. And in this movie, they just tell you that the mom's dead, and the dad sucks, and then they move on. But they literally just blame all of the beast's issues, all the reason that he's kind of a jerk, on his dad.
Right. Which is just so lazy.
Yeah, and it's like the beast can be a jerk because he changes. So you don't have to defend the reason that he's a jerk. It's like, we know the beast is a jerk. You don't have to give us a reason. He could just be kind of a shitty dude. Like, it's fine.
And if anything, I honestly feels like that makes his growth less credible, because when you make it about, like, a daddy issue or something, it feels a lot more permanent. If it's just like something that happened to him later in his life that turned him bitter, then I'm more willing to accept him, like, changing and becoming more friendly towards the end, you know?
Yeah, it was just a weird choice. They keep trying to flesh out these characters more, but they just, like, put the seed on the ground and then kick it away and don't plant it.
Right, yeah. And I gotta give credit to this movie. While, you know, the romantic chemistry is not good, it doesn't feel rapey, which is a very hard needle to thread in a movie like this, you know?
No, First of all, I have one more thing written before I talk about that.
Okay.
Sorry. Beast on Philippe's back is gorillas on horses all over again.
I said the same thing. We haven't talked about that in a podcast. We love talking about in War for the Planet of the Apes when gorillas just like ride horses all the time. And we like looked up the statistics and it's like, no, a horse can defo not support the weight of a gorilla.
Yeah, and they put the beast on the horse and he's like 3 times the size of it. It's like, oh, Philippe's crushed.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to your spine. I was going to say, this is actually a little bit later, but I actually love that scene. And they do it really quickly, and I think that's fine, because we got things that we have to do in this movie. But they have the whole scene through the winter where they do this in the animated and the live action, where they have the scene in the winter where they sing that song and they have that chemistry. And I feel like that scene is so effective. It's like, through that whole scene, you start to like the beast, and the beast becomes that weird kind of monster fucker attractive.
Are you talking about the scene? Are you talking about the scene where the beast fucking no scopes Belle right in the face with a snowball?
Yes, I am. That scene is great.
It's
Fight
just
me,
like,
Jackson.
I don't know. She throws a playful snowball at him, and then he grabs one like twice the size of her head and like lobs it right dead center at her nose, and she falls.
Yes.
You don't see her get back up, and they cut away after we see the beast just heartily laughing.
Can you imagine if in the next scene she had like a giant Band-Aid on her nose?
It's so good.
But I love that whole it's not really a montage, that whole kind of like musical scene where they're like singing and talking and like reading together, and she like makes fun of her for liking Romeo and Juliet and all those things. Like I don't know, I feel like they established this chemistry between them really effectively. Yeah. So even if they don't necessarily get to the romance, to like the ball scene, like they definitely establish a chemistry really well.
For sure, yeah. And I have one thing written here, and I said like the one moment where I like really bought them as like having real romantic chemistry is there's this moment where the beast says something when they're standing on the bridge, and Belle is just like super smiley and keeps like looking back at him. You know the shot that I'm talking about? And it was like really good, and I was like, oh, I totally buy it in this moment specifically, and not as much in the rest of the movie. But there was at least a moment where I was like, oh yeah, cool stuff. She's super into him.
Yeah. And there's also, there's the scene where she saves him from the wolves and they get him back to the castle. And then she literally, like, puts some stuff on his arm, ignores him, he rolls over, and then she walks 2 feet away and starts complaining about him super loudly.
No, okay. My favorite part from this whole bit is when the beast is, like, injured in bed. And Belle is just reciting Shakespeare to herself while sitting down next to him while he sleeps.
Don't worry about it.
Why is she doing that?
Well, I thought she was like reading to him because he's on bed rest or whatever.
He was asleep though, and they don't like each other. Why would she be reciting Shakespeare at him?
Yeah. So what I have down is let me complain. No, it's related. What I've written down is let me complain about him while he sleeps. A lot of stuff happens to the beast when he's supposed to be asleep. Anyway,
okay, by the way,
written down,
they have that whole exchange where she's like, how do you know Shakespeare? And he's like, I had a very expensive education. And then like 10 minutes later, he fucking doesn't know how to eat soup out of a bowl. She has to like show him.
Guess they don't teach you how to eat soup at Harvard. Yeah, that is true. I was gonna say that the songs that they add into this movie generally are really, really good. Like, I really like Days in the Sun. It's a little clunky in how they mix between the singers, but, like, in general, I think it's a really cool song. Yeah. Except for Paris of My Childhood, the one she sings when they go into the plague house. That one sucks.
Okay.
She's like, I used to live here and I'm sad now.
Are we past the moment where Mrs. Potts is like, I'll tell you when you're older?
No, because I have that written down.
Okay, yeah. That's the worst joke in the world.
Yeah, because the answer is a boner.
That's the thing, though.
That's the answer.
It's not. They're like, oh, something's finally happening between them, implying
like
that
love
they're
is
like
blooming.
romantically interested in each other. And if
Yeah.
a little kid were like, what do you mean? I'd be like, oh, I just meant that it seems like they're starting to like each other. When she says, I'll tell you when you're older, it just means that Mrs. Potts was thinking, oh, yeah, they're gonna fuck. Like,
Yeah. No, dog. Yeah.
it's the worst. I hate it.
Okay, so.
And Miss Potts isn't even capable of saying, oh, I think they're falling in love. She's like...
No, she
it's
can't
like-
even bring it up. It's not a possibility in her mind.
It's just like, I can't tell my son that I think they're gonna fuck, so I just have to talk about something else.
Yeah. So I'm gonna change the subject immediately.
Yeah. And then also the joke that Chip actually has about, I'm older now, is also just not funny, because it's not funny.
Yeah, that's just not funny. You're not funny, Chip. Go hang out with Lumiere. So I like how they characterize the Beast, how he is kind of rude and kind of stuck up, but like not in like a I'm a monster kind of way, but like in just like a real way. Like he's just like kind of condescending.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's,
he
like,
feels like a real guy.
Yeah, because it's so much more like a little bit realistic, it's a little bit like more like endearing. I don't know. It's like when he's like, some of them are Greek, and it's like kind of a jerky joke, but it's still like a joke. I don't know, like you let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said the Beast is cute because like I really like all his mannerisms, like when he like shakes his head and stuff, and like the way that he like. I think a good example of that is like when he's like knocking on her door and stuff, and he keeps like turning around and looking at them and like shrugging and like hitting the door, and all these like mannerisms and movements that he do are just like so good at characterizing the character and giving it a little bit more emotion.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm
And then
looking
I have
through my
romance
notes.
is done really well. Yeah, I know. I have written down next, they eat tomato soup a lot. Enough for there to be character development related to tomato soup. It's like you ate soup once and it was weird, and then 2 days later you ate tomato soup
Yeah,
again.
and it's true. You don't really know how long they're there because it's only enough time
Yeah.
for the dad to go back and have a conversation with the townspeople.
Yeah.
And then for them to come back like immediately, like within a few hours of him getting
Yeah.
back and attack their castle. So that's like what, like a day and a half? Like what are we?
No, because they don't tell you the exact time, and it keeps changing, because then after that point they're like, it's been 5 days there and back, and it's like, well, the journey was supposed to be 1 day.
Right.
Cinema Sids. The weird magic book that they have
Yeah, sucks. Nothing good
is
about it.
so weird and dumb, and it literally, actually, in real life, takes you anywhere you want to go, and the only thing we use it for is to tell you that Belle's dead mom is dead. We tell you that a character that we already know is dead is dead.
Yeah, she died from the plague. Is that interesting? Still no.
No. Also, y'all should get out of this windmill before you catch and die of the plague, because it's 1700s France.
Okay, the next thing I have written is, what is the magic gold from the ceiling?
Yeah.
Because I think they showed it in an earlier scene, didn't they?
What they showed you as a part of, like, the sweeping, like, camera of, like, how pretty this room is. They're
Right.
like, look at all this gold stuff. I feel like with a lot of the, like, flying dishes and gold falling from the ceiling, it's like, you have to just, like, there's an enchantment on the castle. There are no rules.
Right.
Who cares?
But this movie
Like, it's
sets up so
magic.
many rules. It goes
I
so
know,
far
they
out of
tried
its
to
way
tell
to set
you
up so
rules.
many rules.
There are no rules.
If this were
The
the
only
animated
rule
one,
is that there are no rules.
yeah, in the animated one there are no rules, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they add so many rules.
Okay, what do I have written after that? The dress design, there was a lot of controversy of 50% of people thinking that the dress is really ugly, and then the other 50% getting really, really defensive about it.
Right, yeah.
Going, it's not ugly! But, like, I don't know.
Would you
It's
be
not-
saying that if it were on a man?
But, like, it's not terrible. But it's just, well, two things. First of all, it's a weird dress. It's not like a ball gown, and it's not like a casual dress.
Right.
It's just like a weird design. And it moves really prettily, but like when she stands still, or where you get a close-up where you can't see the skirt, it just like looks like she's wearing a tank top, and it's just weird. and it's got a weird texture, and it's weird. It's not terrible, it's just not great.
Honestly and truly, I did not think one way or the other about it. Like, thoughts about the dress didn't even enter my brain while I was watching it any of the times that I've seen it.
Well, it's just because you're comparing it to the original animated dress, which is just like first of all, a gorgeous piece of animation, and also just like is such a specific iconic look.
Right.
And I understand not wanting to just repeat it, but like it felt weird to not even emulate it like
That's
at all.
true,
To
yeah.
just do something totally, especially to ditch it in their weird pseudo feminism felt kind of misguided. Shut up. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to go on a Disney tangent real quick because we've been talking about feminism a lot.
Okay, sure.
But people have this really bad habit of looking at the classic Disney films and being, these movies are terrible for little girls, don't let your daughters watch it. And I feel like that's so misguided and sad. Mm-hmm. It's like Snow White doesn't teach your little girl to pick a fight and solve her problems herself. But it does teach your little girl that being nice is important, and sometimes being nice pays off.
Right, yeah.
And that it's good to have connections with people, and there is bad in the world, but just because there's bad in the world doesn't mean that you should stop being sweet.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's an excellent lesson.
Yeah, there are morals to be taught to kids besides just how to deal with the fact that they're oppressed.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, yeah, they're like, they always point to Cinderella and Snow White and Sleeping Beauty as being like these anti-feminist stories, and they're just really not. And it always rubs me the wrong way because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like trying to put a label on feminism, being like, this isn't feminist and this is feminist, is just like kind of, I don't know. It's because feminism isn't black and white. It's a lot of things working together to create an equality.
Exactly.
Because it's about equality between things. So, I don't know, I just feel like... Can you hear Franklin?
Yeah, is Franklin been in your room this whole time?
No, he's outside of my door squeaking his toy. Okay, he left.
That's so good. I was like, wow, has Franklin been in Adeline's room the whole time? He's been so quiet.
Okay, where was I?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, and this movie, it also drew a lot of criticism. One of the things that I remember really strongly about this movie was there's that whole sort of controversy about LaFoe at Disney being like, he's the first out gay character in the Disney canon ever.
Yeah.
And people were all like super upset about it because they didn't like the way they treated it, or the fact that he wasn't like outwardly gay enough in the movie, or all these different things.
Yeah.
Which I understand. You know, I think, you know, people have their right to be frustrated with it. But I will always remember some of my coworkers at the movie theater. One of them, I was about to say lesbian, but I'm realizing now that I don't think that that's true. She might have been bi or something else. Was queer in some capacity, and took her girlfriend to see the movie and was so excited about it. And she was posting on Facebook about how much she loved Beauty and the Beast, like for like a week afterwards. And she was so excited to have LaFoe in it. And like, is it LaFoe or LaFou, by the way?
I think it's LaFou.
Okay. Regardless, this people, like this girl and her girlfriend who went to see it, loved it and were so excited about it. And it's just like, I don't know, it's one of those things that always reminds me that like people have their own opinions and it's okay.
Yeah, no. There's like a million different perspectives and each perspective is totally valid. It's just like, I don't know. It's just having the conversation. Frankly, go away. What do I have written down? So they have that part after the dance where he sends her away, and she's like, can you really be happy if you're not free? And it's like, we've established that there is literally nothing keeping you here. You ran away and nobody stopped you.
Right.
There's nothing stopping you now from running away. You are free. You are here by choice. There's nothing keeping you here.
Yeah, and on top of that, if she decides to stay there and be in love with him, then the curse is broken, right? So he's off the hook. The two of them can go wherever they want. Why are they not free?
Yeah.
Unless this is some weird heavy-handed metaphor about marriage being a trap or something. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
He also literally gave her a book that in reality can take her anywhere she wants to go.
Right.
And she could just be like, okay, we're back at the village. Peace out, the beast. See you later. Like, there's so many things she could... If she wanted to run away from him, there's 10 billion things she could have done.
Yeah.
And she hasn't because there's no reason for her to, because she's not trapped there.
The whole conversation just doesn't make any sense whatsoever on
doesn't.
any level. And
I don't remember it in the animated movie.
Yeah, and on top of that, when she runs away, they're all like, oh, that's it, we're doomed. But, like, she just went to go do something in town.
Yeah.
Like, she can come back if she wants to. Like, why are they
think it's
acting
just,
like that's the end?
I think they just don't expect her to come back.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird. It's like even them not expecting her to come back. And it's like, that doesn't even make any sense because she already came back once. She already ran away and came back once. Why do you think she's not going to do it again? Y'all have been hanging out with Belle for like a month or a day. Who knows?
Right.
And so, like, you should know by now that, like, she is friends with the Beast at least and has already run away and come back.
She
and
enjoys
it's like,
spending time with him.
Yeah, so why would she never, ever come back? I think they're just afraid that she won't come back in time, maybe? I don't know.
I guess that's true. I guess you're pretty close to the deadline there.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe that was something I just didn't pick up on.
I also love the song Evermore.
Yeah, I like that song. It might just be, Stockholm Syndrome, just like Bill has in this movie. But just because when I worked at the theater, I had to listen to that song like a million times. But like, I like that song. I think it's good.
It's a cool
because it plays
song.
during the credits when I was cleaning theaters.
Yeah.
Can I just say, for a while, like people really liked that song. So when we were cleaning theaters, we would like lip sync it or like sing it to each other or whatever. And like every once in a while, there would like be some customers still in the seats, and they would tell our managers at guest services like, "Oh, your employees are so fun. It's so fun that they do stuff like that." And like every time we could feel our bosses getting closer and closer to like telling us to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So eventually we just stopped because we were like, we don't want this to be mandatory.
Enforced.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like that song. I think it's a good song.
Yeah. I mean, there are some lines where, like, the effects on his voice get really heavy, but the rest of the time it's great.
Yeah. I only remember it as Josh Groban sang it, so.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, so why does LeFou need to be skeptical of all this if he doesn't do anything at all in the sequence?
Well, no. So, first of all, I feel like it was because they made the decision to make him gay, is that they didn't want him to be the blundering villain that he kind of is in the original, which is fine. But they set it up throughout the whole movie that it's like LeFou loves Gaston, but he also kind of starts to understand that Gaston is kind of a shitty person.
Right.
So there's several points in the movie where he kind of realized that and kind of questions his judgment, and then Gaston like turns around and threatens him. And so when at the very end, you have that moment between him and Mrs. Potts where he does something good.
Right, that's true. I don't know.
And
I guess
feel like that was just like the whole payoff, and I think there should have been more of a payoff.
I guess I'm not questioning like the effectiveness of his arc. I just don't think it was in service of anything.
Yeah.
It's just totally like its own little isolated thing. And if LeFou was straight up not even in this movie, nothing would really be different,
Yeah.
It's just...
I mean, Mrs. Potts would be dead.
I guess. But I mean, you could just have her not get flung through the air in that specific way.
Yeah.
That's not it's not mandated by the plot.
And land exactly where she was.
Yeah. It's like I just remember thinking about X-Men Apocalypse where I was like, none of those characters did anything. And somebody was like, what about at the end when they all teamed up and shot at him? It's like, you could have just had it that only 3 of them were enough to beat him.
Needed to do
rather
that.
than 5. Anyway, this isn't anything. Continue.
Agatha being the sorceress was just convoluted and dumb and didn't do anything.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the real payoff of that was.
Okay, so what it is that at the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, there's a sorceress. And it's like, great, whatever. And then when Gaston is talking to Belle, he's like, you don't want to end up like Agatha, this old woman who lives alone and begs for money. And then later when the dad gets killed, or not killed, gets tied to the tree, Agatha saves him.
Right.
And then she saves the beast at the end of the movie.
Right. Yeah, so that's one of the things I have written down. Okay, well, actually what I typed was, why does she turn him black? But what I meant to say was, why does she turn him back? turns out this was the Stealth Spawn prequel the whole time.
Yeah.
That joke is because in Spawn, when he gets turned into Spawn, he was a black man, but then he becomes a white man, and that's part of the story. Anyway, this is nothing. I also have there's that line where I don't even remember what somebody says, but then Gaston is like, "It's hero time."
Oh,
which is very good. I really like that.
Yeah.
Also, there's that moment where the coat hanger boxes that guy and they play like a ding ding bell before he starts doing it. And that was the worst. I hated that.
I don't think I even noticed that, probably
really?
just because I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
This might as well happen.
Yeah.
And then it gets so like violent, like next to each other they have like the piano shooting keys at people like a machine gun, and then Lumiere like lights off a stick of dynamite.
And Miss Potts starts pouring boiling water on people.
It's brutal, man.
It's crazy. They're trying to like play it up like, oh haha. And it's like, no. that looks bad.
You'd be dead.
But there's also I'm debating whether or not to bring it up where there's like the three guys who are kind of been hanging out with Gaston, and she like shoots dresses on all of them. And they're, okay, first of all, two of them were like, dresses! And it's like, okay.
We're
but then one of them, I know, but then the other one is like, yas, queen. And it's like, okay, both of these reactions are stupid. Both of these were dumb. You didn't have to do either of these.
Right at the end, when they're all, okay, first of all, the sequence where they're all turning back into furniture takes forever. That's like a 6-minute scene. Oh my god.
And the only thing, okay, the part where Mrs. Potts comes in and she can't find Chip. That scene gets me. That part's sad.
But then
everything else about that scene doesn't matter.
Yeah. But then what's hilarious is when Chip is falling from somewhere, he just like shoots out of the air.
Because he skateboards everywhere.
We don't get shown why he's falling, what he's falling from. They're out on the patio. There's nothing above them. But Chip
he's
just
like, what's up, Mom? Crash.
Somehow Chip is just flying through the air, and somebody has to catch him.
And it's the clothes stand who doesn't get a name and we never know anything about. He's just there all the time.
Chip's just like, what's up, fuckers?
And then crashes into the ground. Okay, yeah, that scene really got me. I'm still mad about the prince.
You just want him to be buffer?
Yeah, I mean, that's the joke from, like, even from the animated movie, was that the animated Beast wasn't as handsome as the original Beast. But it's like, even the animated Beast, I don't remember what his name is, it's like Adam or something, but he's at least, like, buff and kind of looks like the Beast. So it's like, okay, this isn't the same, but it's fine.
It's fair.
But in this movie, it's, like, literally just, like, a completely different person. It's, like, this thin, tiny guy who's, like, an inch taller than Belle, and she, like, recognizes him immediately.
Right.
She's like, oh yes, this is the thing that I fell in love with. That's what I was imagining in my mind's eye.
It's you.
Yeah, after all this time. And then, first of all, that. And then second of all, she's like, even Belle isn't happy with how she looks. Because at the wedding, she's like, hey, can you grow a beard? Because I want the other one. The one I fell in love with. I want that one.
So, okay, one of the things that I love to talk about in this movie is when they all turn back to life, and Lumiere has been so goofy this whole time. He's like, oh, I'm Lumiere. And then he, like, turns into a real guy, and I have to actually look at Ewan McGregor and be like, oh, check me out, I'm your friend. And you're like, God damn it, I'm so embarrassed by you.
I am a French man.
Yeah. But
it's like seeing that voice come out of a human person.
Yeah. It got me kind of thinking, though, like, I can't think of any other instance of somebody having to play the same character in live action as well as voice acting before.
That's true.
And that's a really interesting acting challenge, I think. Like, how to find that balance. I think he fails at it. But,
I think I got an F-.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any other, like, acting situation like that. Yeah.
So there's tons of, like, transformation movies where they, like, go from an animal to being a person, but, like, even that, it's still animated. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more.
I mean, there's a little bit of that with The Princess and the Frog with Naveen, where he goes from being this suave prince into being the frog back into the suave prince. But I feel like the voice...
But you're still voice acting the whole thing.
Yeah, and it still pretty much works for both characters. It gets a little weird when he's a frog, but it's fine.
But, so yeah, and then at the end, all the townsfolk are just like, oh, we're cool now!
We forgot! We remember! It's literally the end of Wreck-It Ralph again. They're like, oh, that's right!
So was that it?
Damn.
They had like a curse put on them so they couldn't remember all the people in the castle?
Yeah.
And they were townsfolk before. So they know everybody that just got turned back into people.
Yes.
That sucks. I hate that.
It's whatever. Well, what weirds me out about it is like, okay, this is the king and queen and the prince in the castle of this one village. Are there more villages? Mm-hmm. Where are they? Is this the king and queen of France?
Right,
what?
Yeah.
It's just another thing of saying it in reality. It's like, okay, if you're going to put in reality, give me the rules of reality. I want the trade federation politics.
And the last thing I have in this movie is that last little shot where she's like, could you grow a beard? And he's like, bruh. It just...
I know, that sucks.
It reminds me of the very last shot in Young Frankenstein where they reveal that Gene Wilder has a giant monster dick still. Do you remember that?
I've never seen Young Frankenstein.
Oh, really? I can't remember what happens. I just know the last scene in the movie. There's like... I'm going to get this super wrong. But I know the very last scene is Gene Wilder's in bed and some girl is like, oh man, do you still have a little bit of Frankenstein in you? And he's like, bruh, and he like goes on top of her. And the joke is that he's got a giant Frankenstein dick.
Yes.
And that's like where the credits roll. And that's what this reminds me of.
It's like the end of North by Northwest where there's the shot of the train going into the train tunnel.
Yeah.
I hate Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay, to be fair, I haven't seen all of North by Northwest. But that sequence where they're chasing each other around Mount Rushmore sucks. It's the worst. It's like the weirdest, most disjointed editing I've ever seen.
I'm afraid people are going to take that seriously. I really like Alfred Hitchcock, and I think he's a cool dude, and he invented storyboards, and I love him. But North by Northwest is a really weird film.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to, like, get too into hot takes about North by Northwest in our Beauty and the Beast podcast.
A film from, like, 1945.
Right, yeah. Do you have anything else before we move on?
I mean, the last thing that I've written down is that the end credits are hella weird.
Oh, I kind of like the end credits.
Oh, you like that? They're so weird.
I don't know. I like end credits that, like, show you a picture of the person when they say their name.
Yeah.
That's just nice to me because I feel like it's that extra bit of, like, this is who they were.
It's like the weird, like, nod at the audience. I just, like, ropes me the weird. It felt like the ending of, like, a autobiography or something. Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird,
it was like a curtain call.
Here they are now.
Yeah, it was like a curtain call. I don't know. I dig it.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I thought it was weird.
Fine. Well, fuck you.
Okay.
I like that, like, the actual credits at the very end aren't just, like, white words on a black screen. They've got, like, the pretty paintings and stuff behind, which I appreciate. You know, not a lot of movies put effort into that.
Can we stop making credits boring?
Yeah, I know.
I like pretty credits. I like them being pretty.
There's have you seen 8th Grade yet?
No, I haven't.
8th Grade has super pretty credits. I won't spoil it for you, but... Yeah. The credits are very pretty.
Oh, wait, sorry. This is unrelated, but we have to do an episode about To All the Boys I've Ever Loved Before so I could talk about how much I hate the younger sister.
Okay.
What a freaking bitch she is.
Me and Adeline watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before a little while ago, and Adeline really hated the little sister.
She sucks so bad. I hate her.
Okay.
She's the villain of this movie.
So, I've gone first for our secondary things for, like, the last 4 episodes. Do you have something this time?
I kind of have some. It's a weird, like, combination of things.
Do you want me to go first?
No, I could go first. So I wanted to talk about, I'm going to talk about, well, last week I talked about the Steven Universe art book, so I'm just going to continue on the theme and talk about We Bare Bears.
Okay.
We Bare Bears is another cartoon on Cartoon Network, but this is a lot less plot heavy, so there's not really any spoilers I could give.
Right.
Unless, in the time that I haven't been watching it, there's been a huge plot update, but I doubt, and I hope not. So We Bare Bears is a story about three adopted brothers who are all bears, and just like the shenanigans they get into. And it's like, we talked about this before, kind of with the Coen Brothers stuff. But it's like, it's one of those things that's just like so nice and easy to consume, and it's funny, and the animation is really good. Mm-hmm. It's just all the shenanigans that these bears get into, but it's like these bears set into like a modern setting. They like count apartment, they go out for boba, and they do all these things. Right. It's just really funny. And it's one of the few cartoons that I can watch with my dad in the room where he won't want to gouge his eyes out. So it's like, congratulations, We Bare Bears, you created a cartoon that my dad likes.
Yeah, no, and so many of the like modern Cartoon Network shows get like this huge aura of like importance around them, like Adventure Time and Steven Universe, and it's like everybody loves this, and you've got to like it, and it's a super long, and it's really involved, and it's still a kids show, but you know it's got all these crazy things, and that always is just like overwhelming to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and you know, We Bare Bears is like the only like modern kids cartoon that I like actually have watched in my own spare time. Like I like it. It's fun to watch. It's just nice. It's something nice to have on in the background for 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I want to have a specific shout out to Louis Zong, who is a storyboard artist on We Bare Bears, because he's like my hero. I love him. Well, first of all, it's just because he's a storyboard artist and he does awesome storyboards for that show. But he also just does really, really cool side projects. Like first of all, he does animated videos for My Brother and Me all the time, which are hilarious and cool. Yeah. And then he like writes songs and he does little shorts, and he has this little project that he does where he like just like creates parts of a video game without like actually making a video game. I don't know. Yeah. I just think he's super cool, so I wanted to talk about first of all him and also We Bare Bears. But yeah, what's really cool about We Bare Bears is that it's like so easily digestible, and it's fun, and it's nice, and it's funny. But it's also like, we've been talking about kind of like light feminism. This is kind of like, We Bare Bears does this really good job of just like being accepting of everything without having the point be that everything is in it.
Yeah,
like
for
there's women characters, there's characters of color who are drawn super well and in really cool ways. Like I've seen a lot more discourse online on how Asian American or Asian characters are drawn, and like how to do that without having them be kind of like the closed eyes Asian persona kind of needs to die, that kind of thing. Yeah. But, like, We Bare Bears does such a good job of drawing all these people in, like, a really cool and humanizing way. It's just like, here's another person. It looks like people that you see walking down the street. Mm-hmm. Like, they just do such a good job of drawing these characters in a relatable way when it's a show about bears, but all the humans are really cool.
Right. No, yeah, I've always said that, like, the most efficient means of, like, progressive storytelling is just to tell a story as if the statement you want to make has already been made.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, We Bare Bears is like, they just go around and they do stuff. Like, one of the main characters is this little, I think she's Korean, but she might not be. But she's this little girl who they go around, and she's best friends with Ice Bear, and they go to the museum, and he meets an albino alligator that's like his hero, and it's important to him that he sees it. It's like, this just like these nice, cute stories.
Right.
Like, one of the characters is a park ranger who's a super strong, buff, excited woman, and that's just who she is, and we don't have a whole episode of how she's defined gender roles. She's just like, this is just who this character is. Here's a story about that. We're not going to have the story be why that is. Just like, here's her in a scenario. Let's go.
Right.
They have an episode about the Girl Scouts where there are just like 12 different little girls, and they're all super different and super cool.
Yeah. And
it's like not a plot point. It's just like, here are these little girls. We're going to go. Grizz like almost falls down a canyon or something. And it doesn't matter. It just is really nice. It's a good combination of things, and it's really fun. And I think if you want to check out just something nice to look at and consume, I would recommend We Bare Bears.
Right. Okay, so my thing is I'm trying to think about how I want to start this. One of my favorite bands is the Raconteurs, which is one of Jack White's mini bands.
One of Jack White's 10 million projects.
He doesn't have really that many. It's just the White Stripes and the Raconteurs and his solo career and the Dead Weather.
Yes.
And? No, that's it. I think that's it. He did that song with Danger Mouse once, but that wasn't really a band. That was just some people he played with once. Anyway.
That was just a thing that happened.
Yeah, but they're a band that's made up of a whole bunch of musicians from different musical groups, So they all kind of have their own other thing going on. So they came together in the 2000s, early 2000s, and they made 2 super good albums, which were called Consoler of the Lonely and Broken Boy Soldiers. And they're these great albums. I super loved them. But they pretty much essentially broke up. Like, they didn't, like, break up, but they were like, okay, you know, we're moving on from the Raconteurs. We're doing our own stuff.
We did the thing that we wanted to do. And now we're done.
Precisely. And apparently this happened like a month ago, and I didn't know about it until this week. But they got back together and came out with 2 new songs, and they've got an album coming out later this year, which I totally never thought was ever going to happen, and I'm very excited about it. The 2 new songs are called Sunday Driver and Now That You're Gone. And they're both, like, the Raconteurs play really, like, folksy, country-inspired.
Yeah.
But it's also sort of grungy and garage rocky at the same time. It's like this cool melding.
Yeah, it's like a weird mix.
Yeah, for sure. They did Steady As She Goes, that famous alt-rock song from 2003.
Steady as she goes.
Yeah.
Steady as she goes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
You can keep going.
No.
I remember in my...
I hate to interrupt you, but I just picked up my chocolate coin again, and I realized that it's not a chocolate coin, it's a chocolate euro. And I don't know what to do with this information. Anyway, you can keep doing what you're doing.
I was just going to say, my sophomore year of high school, one of the upperclassmen bands that got to play at our big concert at the end of the year played Steady As She Goes, and I lost my mind. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Because I remember hearing them rehearsing in the band room while I was walking through the halls, and, like, my ears perking up and me being like, oh! I had, like, poked my head in, and I was like, Miles, are you going to play that song? He was like, yeah, man. I was like, oh!
Miles is one of those figures that it's like, you are a person that I look up to, and Miles was a person that you looked up to. So
Right.
In my mind, Miles is like this weird, like, god figure that, like, met the president or something.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
You did get to meet the president. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
he met Obama.
Maybe he'll listen to this podcast someday. I doubt it. I haven't talked to him in years. But
Yeah.
I am still on a Google Doc with him of an exhaustive list of band names that he updates pretty regularly.
Well, because he's the one who started that, and now you and me do that.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
He met Obama, and the only time that I saw him, he had the same haircut as Henry Selick.
Oh, yeah,
so
he has
that's
the
all
worst
I know
haircut in the
about
world.
him.
I don't know if he
Yeah.
still has the worst haircut in the world, but when he was in high school, he had the worst haircut in the world. I don't know why we're spending so much time talking about this guy, because I haven't talked to him in
I
years
don't know.
and years.
He's just like this weird. He's just like this person that I know a lot about, but have never met in my whole life.
But yeah, anyway, Raconteurs, 2 new songs called, what are they called? They're called Sunday Driver and Now That You're Gone. And presumably, in a few months, they'll have a whole album that I'll probably talk about again that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm going to look up my review because I forgot to.
Yeah, I felt like you did, because I felt like you would have brought it up by now. The fact that you didn't was a red flag. I feel like at some point we should just do Tangled, because I want to force you to watch Tangled again.
Okay. So here is... I don't remember what the last thing we said before I'm cutting to this is.
You just whispered that you were going to get your 5-star.
Yeah, I did before that, obviously.
I don't know. We were talking about Miles.
Yeah. So this is going to be... I hate that. So check out this 5-star review. No. I gotta figure out a good way to preface this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Speaking of Beauty and the Beast...
Yep. We were talking about that, Jackson, my brother.
Danielle on Letterboxd.com gives it 5 stars and says, just when I thought this movie couldn't get any better, they slapped me in the face with this. Thank you. I never knew I needed this till now. I will forever be listening to this soundtrack. Once again, thank you. They really did that.
I hate that she said, really, they did that. God. Man, I can't believe they did it to you. Wow.
You know I had to do it to him.
Yeah.
I'm Jackson McMurray.
I'm dead inside.
And this has been No Nerds Allowed. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. That was terrible. So you know that one Simpsons episode where Maggie speaks and she gives like that whole feminist agenda speech for no reason?
Yeah.
That's how I felt this episode.